Hume Football, the excitement of a first round of home and away matches, and we're back. And Phil Bouffler's back. He's back. He's actually out in the paddock sowing while we speak to him, but he's definitely back on the footy on the weekend. He's that excited because he joins me now. G'day, Phil. How are you?
Morning, Wayne. Lovely day in the Riverina. Nice and sunny. No rain forecast for the weekend, and finally got my cropping man here, so getting a bit of sowing done. So the paddocks are drying out, so things are looking good.
You mean the paddocks are drying out in the Riverina? It hasn't been like that for more than 12 months. It's been wet, hasn't it?
I added up my rainfall the other day, and I've had 330 mils of rain for the year already. So it's unbelievable. It just really is. So, my annual rainfall is probably 450, so, here we are in April and I'm nearly there, so it's just incredible.
It is. Incredible round of round one footy. The bottom side from last year kicks 30 goals in starting their season. All other 5 games that were played and the results were so close. Only one result got to 15 points. The rest of them all decided by about a goal. That is a magnificent start to the season.
It was just fantastic. So there was a blowout in the one game, as you mentioned, but the other ones were just really close all day and could have gone either way. Three-quarter time, some sides played a little bit better and some fell in a hole. So it was just good football, and it was great to see. People were pumped. They were good crowds. And everyone was happy we're back on the footy field.
Oh, I tell you what, they were happy at Lockhart. The Oval was packed. The RSL, or the Ex-Services Club, but they'll be packed too on the Tuesday this week with the big walk down the main street. But Lockhart kicked 31-12, 198. The Murray Magpies 38-26. Last year's bottom side, the Lockhart, have come out and done an absolute magnificent performance. And their coach, their first-up coach, will be delighted.
He'll think, how easy is this?
Yes.
Shelling peas. But, I was a bit worried about the Magpies. They'd lost a few of their better players from last season. Lockhart had improved, but I rang a mate at the game and I said, what's the go here? He said, well, Lockhart are better than we thought. Probably the Murray Magpies aren't travelling so well. So I think Lockhart are going to trouble a few sides along the way this year. They've improved a fair bit.
They have Harrison Brown with 6 and Hunter Lloyd 6, 5 to Luke Arkers, Daniel Coates with 4, James McDermott 3, Tom Keogh and Will Keogh, the coach Tom, with a couple of goals apiece, and Argus, Hunt, Lloyd and Sheether named as the best 3 there for those boys in the Lockhart strip. And what about this? There was Osborne 11-11 over how long? 10-11. It was close. It was at Osborne. The home side got there. There was a gasp of relief at the end.
Three-quarter time, I'd been watching this game on the on my sport app. So and they were in front a lot of the day. Got away to a good start. How long? I think they were 5 points up at three-quarter time. Then Osborne did the old trick and kicked 4 goals in the last quarter to 3. So it was a kick in it. And, they were right at the very death. Osborne got in front. Very good game, apparently, and a good crowd too. So that augurs well. How long have improved?
They certainly have. Culcan took on Henty up the Olympic Highway, and it was the Cairns 12-8-80 over the Swampies 10-5-65.
Good win to Culcan. Home, they had to win at home. Henty were in front at three-quarter time. I think Culcan kicked like 6 or 7 goals in the last quarter and just came home with a wet sail. So great win to Culcan. And these are the games they would have lost last year. So hopefully they're on the improve a little bit.
Oh, great stuff from the Holbrook 9-10-64 over Gindera 8-10-58. What a game there. And Gindera, I made the point last week. I did tip them. You went with Holbrook and you were right at home. But Gindera, I think, are going to be very competitive.
They came home. Talk about clubs coming home. If it had gone for another 5 minutes, I was at this game. Gindera nearly would have got up here. As Karen Freeman kept repeatedly telling me during the day, Trent Castles wasn't playing for them either. So I think it was. I think at half time, I think it was 7 goals to 1 in Holbrook's favour. So we just thought, and I said to someone, I think they must have changed Guernseys at half time because they just came out 2 different sides. So great last quarter. I think they kicked 4 or 5 goals in the last quarter. Gindera nearly got up.
Fantastic game played down at the Brocklesby Recreation Reserve for you Billabong Crows supporters at least. 8-12-60 over the great Saints, 8-5-53. And it wouldn't have been too often that the Crow boys have been singing the song at Brocklesby.
I don't think so. So I think my tips were pretty good last week, Wayne. I think I might have to give up on my tipping from now on. I might retire for the year. So I reckon I got that one right as well. So But once again, the BB Saints, I'm not sure whether wind was a factor in this, but the BB Saints were a couple of goals up at three-quarter time. And he didn't kick one goal for the last quarter, and the other Crows got 3. So that was a very good win to the Crows, especially away from home.
Brilliant stuff by them, and Dylan Flanagan kicked 3 of those goals to be right up there with their best players. Chris Willett and George Sandro, I think that name coming back to their side's a good one, and Ronald Bolton tried really hard for his team. And finally, it was the CDHBU Power 10-10-70 over Rambla-Bundry-Walla, the Giants 8-13-61, and you called this last week too?
A little bit to script this one. I think Power maybe a little bit behind quarter time, then they just kicked away during the game. And so that's a good win, once again, away. So that was a game, the Power dropped a couple early last year, and that was one of the games that the Power would have lost last year. So they've improved as well. So I can see the teams I thought would be improving are improving. So, but there'll be some very interesting games this week coming up, Wayne. We'll get much more of a feel of where people are after that.
I reckon we will, because the one at the top is at Oaklands, and it is the Billabong Crows. After beating the Saints, they face Osborne, who have been the league leaders and the side that everyone fears. But these Crows may not have the fear that they once had, and they'll go out at Oaklands and put in a good showing. And wait for this, it's going to be a good game of footy. The Osborne folk, they'll be fighting to win this game, and they'll need to play good footy to beat the Crows this year.
Well, Osborne have been the benchmark for a few years now, Wayne, and people who play against those, we have to see how they go. So this is going to be a very interesting game. I think the Crows would be up and about a little bit, and Osborne, they had a good win, and they had to do it pretty hard, and they came home hard in the last quarter, but they can't be doing that all the time. So I'm just thinking home, Osborne... I might go a bit random here, Wayne. This could be the end of my tips. I might go for the Crows in an upset. How about that?
Oh, you've done it. I'm going to still favour the Tigers here, but gee, this is a beauty. Ginger are taking on Brock Burham. I think, even though we don't know whether Castles is back this week, they haven't named their side just yet, but I think that they will win this match against Brock Burham, who'll start the season zipping too.
I think I saw somewhere on Facebook. I don't think Castles was playing this week either. So I think Ginger will get home. I saw enough of them last week. They're a pretty handy side, and they'd be a little bit upset they didn't win that game. So I think Ginger at home will be too strong for the BB Saints.
All right, you got your sowing crew out, and I noticed that down there at Careen, they would be getting into this sowing season too. The oval is in pretty good shape, so with a bit of dry weather we have had in recent days, so that'll be good for the folk and the patrons getting around the oval, and so I reckon it's going to be a beauty between the Power and Culcan.
If nothing else, Culcan will enjoy a bit of dry weather, because I went through Culcan last Saturday on my way to Holbrook, and there was water lying all over paddocks, and I think they had 30 mil that night. So it would be as wet as any place in Australia, Culcan, at the moment. It's just very, very wet over there. So they'll enjoy a dry track if nothing else. But I think at home, I'm going to pick the CDHBU. I just think that they played well last week. Both sides coming off a win, but I just think CDHBU might get up at home.
How much have How Long improved? Will they take on Holbrook? We'll find out.
Holbrook had a couple of good players, a couple of good recruits last week. So they just took I'm not sure what happened at half time. They just sort of fell in a hole after half time. I'm not sure what it was. And sort of How Long, they had the game in their keeping, and then they just fell in a hole in the end too. So this will be interesting. I think I might tip How Long. It's only for the reason it's at home, Wayne. They've got a good home ground following. It's a good at How Long too. Very good ground.
Okay, the Rambla-Bundry-Walla Giants, the Kreuzenbergers, the Colhagans, the Kotzes, and the Wardiuses, the Ducks, and the rest of them go across there to the Urana Road, and they'll be playing Murray Magpie. Should win.
I think they'll win, Wayne. I'm actually going to head down to this game, have a bit of a look and see what's happening down that way. So, I'll be heading down there. I'm thinking after what we saw last week, I think the Magpies, they might hope that they'll lift, but I think the Giants will be too strong.
Match of the round now for me. This is going to be the old Henty versus Lockhart. There's absolutely everything on the line for these two at the Swampy Showground. The Lockhart boys with good recruits, they're going to go over to Henty and give them a real shake.
This is back in the early 80s, Wayne. Bit of rivalry, bit of old Farrell League rivalry here happening again. So fair to say the two clubs haven't always seen eye to eye, but this will be a good game. Henty just losing to last week, so they played well, and Lockhart having a huge win. So this is really going to put Lockhart into the mix and just see how good they are. This is a good test for them. From all reports, they've played very well. A lot of the young kids from last year have bulked up a little bit, and confidence is a great thing in football. you're up and about. They'd be pretty happy after last week's win, I'm assuming. So I might tip Lockhart in an upset.
Oh, yes, it's going to be a beauty. Henty won't hang on, but I think Lockhart might just get there. And it's so exciting because from early in the morning, the kids will be running around over there at Henty, and there's going to be a good number of people out and about with the Anzac weekend. It's great to be talking to Phil Bouffler. Hume Footy League report, Phil. I look forward to hearing on how the crop gets going and sowing with this very good start with the rain side of it and a bit of dry weather now to get it out of the ground, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Well, good, perfect storm for sowing, Wayne. We've got a best moisture we've had for years, and but still the ground temperature's pretty high, so the stuff's just bounding out of it. Anything that's been sown's up in 5 and 6 days. So by I'm talking to you next week, half my crop will be out of the ground that I'm sowing at this stage. So yeah, it will be great. So thanks again for your support, and we'll talk next week.